So they're going back to Ottawa, huh? Back to Ottawa. Back to Ottawa. Back to Ottawa! Yeah, no, back to Ottawa. We already said that. But in many ways, in so many ways, they're not just going back to Ottawa. No, they're definitely going back to Ottawa. Yeah, but they're also going back to Montreal. Yeah, they're going back to Boston. You need to go back to therapy. I'm in Boston right now. Let's go! Do you have a humiliation kit? This is all I ask you to do. I'm having a great finger flick. You're allowed to show up. This team is ruining my life. I'm taking crazy pills! With you, wherever you are, welcome to LFR. Listen, Steve, this doesn't look like a one-taker. Oh, it is. I think a lot of the people watching this right now, real hockey hurt you. Allow me to talk about fantasy hockey that can't hurt you. This is my favorite new fantasy game to play, and it's the official fantasy game of the NHL and the NHLPA. Download NHL Fantasy Stars from the Apple Store or Google Play. It's free to play and runs daily, so you can play it at any time. Whether you want nostalgia or the thrill of ripping open a new pack of hockey cards, NHL Fantasy Stars is the game you want to play. When ripping packs, you can get gold, silver, and base cards and rip open the rare All-Star cards. The All-Star cards are super rare. Actually, the Leafs have the most talent and therefore the most All-Stars. Marner, Matthews, and Nylander All-Stars? So super rare to pull in your pack. Become the GM of your own NHL hockey team. Set lineups, buy and sell players, and make blockbuster trades. Dig on me, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, Jesse Blake, all playoffs long. It's daily contest so you can join at any time. Today we got a playoff offer. Get a free 10-player pack. Let me show you the game in action. So I ripped open a gold pack. I need something good here. Gus Forsling is a really good defenseman from the Panthers, but what I really need is a left winger, so I'm hoping to pull that in this pack. Next card is exactly that. Zach Hyman. Yeah, baby. Everything else is gravy, and I just so happen to get, who is it? Nico Hischier. Yeah, no, that's better than a kick in the teeth. I will take Nico Hischier. And now I think my lineup's looking pretty good. Hyman, Hischier, Kempe all in there. Doughty and Wallman on the back end because they're playing tonight. It's only players who are playing tonight. Lawton, he had a bunch of hits in this game. And the Wild, we'll see how they do. Download the NHL Fantasy Stars app and try to beat me, Adam, and Jesse today. Now let's do this! Because this isn't fantasy. That's just a nightmare! Leafs lose 4-0 to the Ottawa Senators on home ice. Do you understand? Like, okay, this is your last chance to prove that you are not exactly what everyone says you are. Let me tell you a story. I told it on the stream, and I'm going to tell it now. I got to go on a trip. Me, Adam, and Jesse all got to go on a trip in 2018. It was the last year that the Air Canada Centre was called the Air Canada Centre. It's now called Scotiabank Arena. And Air Canada wanted to do a big send-off. So what they did was they got a bunch of contest winners, me, Adam, and Jesse, and a few Leafs alumni, and they stuck us all on the Leafs team plane. And they flew us all the way to Boston to watch Game 2 of the Leafs playing the Bruins in 2018. Now, some of you are just sitting here listening to that story and you're going, oh, do tell us what happened. But the real hardcore sickos, you can assume what happened in Boston against the Bruins. But some of you probably know that the Leafs got pumped early and often in that game. Freddie Anderson got pulled. They threw Curtis McElhaney in net. Yeah, that's a name you haven't heard in a while. That's a perfectly good goalie who they let go on waivers for a goalie who sucked. Yeah, that guy. So the Leafs got pumped and they lost that game. And there was a storm that night. So on top of everything, we walk out of the building and it's like raining or snowing or something wasn't good. And our flight out of Boston back home to Toronto, same day, by the way, was delayed. Darcy Tucker was one of the Leafs alumni on that plane. Darcy Tucker. Can I here, listen. This guy right here. This guy waving goodbye to Chris Neal. Because the Leafs beat the Sens. I recognize the boards. This is Toronto. Anyway, Darcy Tucker is on our plane. Now, Darcy is a huge Leafs fan. He's an alumni. He goes to the games. He hands out the jerseys. He loves the boys. He loves the Buds. He bleeds blue and white. Don't let any picture that showed him bleeding crimson fool you. That man is a blue and white warrior through and through. Now, he was at that game in Boston, and he wasn't wearing a Leafs jersey. He was wearing, I think he was wearing like a suit jacket, but he did have a Leafs scarf on. And some fans were chirping him. He didn't like that. Now, there's no way those fans knew that was Darcy Tucker. Darcy's not a huge guy. He's not tall. He's not heavy. But he's got the eyes. And they were chirping him from behind him in the stands. And there's no way they saw those eyes. And those eyes went with him onto the plane. So we're sitting there. We're at the back. I think this was the bus to the plane. With Darcy Tucker. And we're all talking about the game. Mostly fans. But Darcy's there. And he's got this pen. And he's just rolling it back and forth like this. And the eyes are still there. The eyes are still there. Like it's still 2002. They never left. And he's just rolling this pen. And I thought to myself, he's imagining this pen is the neck of everyone who chirped him. But then he says, I just wish I could go into that locker room and grab these guys by the collar and tell them, you don't get infinity chances at this. You don't get unlimited chances at this. You only get so many cracks at it. He told that story 7 playoff defeats ago. Since he told us that story, the Leafs have gone 1-7 in playoff series. They have a chance to go 2-7 right here. They also have a chance to go 1-8. There have been so many stats over the past few days about how the Leafs are in elimination games. There were a couple that, like, it takes a lot to shock me, dude. It takes a lot to shock me. But these are shocking. Maple Leafs, this is from Sportsnet Stats, in potential series clinching games since 2018. There's 2018 coming up again. Power play goals scored, 1. Shorthanded goals allowed, 2. The Leafs' power play in potential series clinching games since 2018 is getting outscored. The Leafs are now 0 for their last 30 power play opportunities in potential series clinching games. And what I've seen over the last few days is people going, dude, these stats don't matter. I don't want to read them. They're garbage. And you know what? I was on that side. But the reason I was on that side was wrong. The reason I was on the side of ignore the past, ignore the stats, was I didn't want to hear it. It wasn't that it was illegitimate. They got Berube. He's a new coach, won a cup, been there. They got a new tandem. Stolars, won a cup, been there. No, he wasn't the starter, but he was there the whole time. Joseph Woll, backup, excellent, been there. Chris Tanev is unbelievable. OEL, been there. They got Carlo, been there. Remade the decor. They've added a couple fun guys who had 20 to 30 goal seasons in Matthew Nyes, What a fortuitous draft pick. Bobby McMahon. Hey, look at that. Who's on that power play? Other than Matthew Nyes, who I would call flawless, and I love him. I didn't love the penalty that he took. That was a big turning point in the game, and we'll talk about that. Marner has been a part of every one of those. Matthews has been a part of every one of those. Nylander, who played like he didn't have any blood in his veins in this game, has been a part of every one of those. And John Tavares, with the exception of 2021, which he obviously gets a pass on, was part of every one of those. That's who's on the power play. For years, we've been talking about the Stars, some of them in particular, doesn't matter. And the stat gets thrown out. Yeah, but look how many points they had in the playoffs. They're like a point per game. Points when and where? When and effing where? Game 1, cookie night. Game 2, you win at home. Imagine that in this economy. Game 3, overtime win in their barn. Hell yeah, but the games are getting tighter. And they're getting tighter and they're getting tighter. Game 4, the Sens have the 2-0 lead. You tie it. And you tie it fast. That's okay. Sens get the lead back in the third. You tie it again. Fast. You lose it in overtime. Ah, nuts. Well, you know what? It's hard to sweep in this league. Real hard to sweep in this league. Hey, even after this game, even after this one, the Leafs are up 3-2 in the series. What do we have to worry about? The Leafs! Ah! They get that power play early in this game. It lasts a minute, and they had 5 shots. It was going amazingly until Nyes chopped that stick. It broke. Power play's over. Then he shoved Shane Pinto to the ice, and that was pretty funny. But the power play, that opportunity, that power play early in the game was your chance to get up. It was your chance to get the crowd into the game. I'll get to the crowd. And they blew it in that instance. Okay. We get to the end of the first period. The Leafs are out shooting the Senators greatly. Lovely! You'd like to be that team. A goal goes in. It's Thomas Chabot. It kind of stinks. There's traffic in front. But he put a shot through traffic with people in front. Something that the Leafs refuse to do all night long! I cannot believe this is the same team we watched games 1 through 4. Unrecognizable! They were afraid of the front of the net. They were allergic to it. Dump and no chase. Getting hemmed. Losing battles. Bobbling pucks. And Ridley Grigg, in all his wisdom, takes another penalty. Let me tell you, the first period, when the Leafs had all those shots in half a power play, it was Ridley Grigg in the box. And this rat saw fit to give the Leafs a golden opportunity. Marner had already coughed the puck up. He lost the zone, got chased, coughed the puck up. Ridley Grigg, though, decides, that's not good enough. I'm going to grab onto him like it's his own personal jetpack, and I'm going to drag him to the ice like it's a jiu-jitsu final. Do you watch WWE? He gave him, like, the backstabber, like Carlito's finishing move. It was dumb. It was a gift of a penalty from a guy who's been a thorn in your side all series. A penalty killer for the Sens. You can't ask for better fortune. And how do you reward all those fans who are nervous, not making a peep? You allow a shorthanded goal for the second time this series. And it's 2-0, and everyone feels like it's done. You know why? It was! Oh, ye of little faith. Faith in what? You? For what? The Leafs had their chances throughout the game. They did. But after the Sens made it 2-0, it was pathetic, bro. Pathetic. I didn't even look at the stats because I can't stomach the idea of it. They might have even got outshot in the third. I don't know. I can't stomach it. Matthews blocked that shot in the first period with his hand. I don't know how much it affected him. Did it affect his feet? Marner was bobbling pucks all night. He probably had their best scoring chance too, but he was bobbling pucks all night. I don't know why they stapled Holmberg to the Tavares and Nylander line, but it might have had something to do with Willie looking downright disinterested. And Tavares was one of the only guys trying to park himself in front. The big guys failed as they always do. It was quiet in that barn all night. Dead quiet. And people are talking about it. People have been asking me, Steve, are you in? What? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You can't have it both ways. The pressure is too hard in Toronto. The fans are nuts and the media. And then they're not loud enough? What? The fans who stood out in the rain got evacuated because it was so hard and sent back out there, never left, who have been watching your games in an empty building when you're on the road? They're why you're losing? They're why you're nervous? Why do you think they're nervous? You didn't spend 4 or 5 digits to be in that barn tonight. You got paid to do the same failure again. You're running out of opportunities to prove to people that you're not what they say you are. You're running out of chances. The Leafs could easily win this series in 6. They could even do what Florida did. And it gets forced to 7. And Florida, they won in 7. They won the Stanley Cup. No one talks about it, right? No one talks about the fact that they almost choked in a historic fashion. The Vancouver Canucks, I had some of them talking about it. In the first round, they were up 3-0 on Chicago, team who always has their number. Chicago forces Game 7. They force overtime. Canucks end up winning in overtime. They won the series. Dragon Slayer, they called it. You know how many defensemen the Canucks used in that playoff run? 13. They were up 2-0 on the Bruins in the Stanley Cup final. You think if they didn't blow a 3-0 series lead, it might have helped in the first round? I think it might have helped. Personally, I think it might have helped. You don't get unlimited chances at this. That's not a fan saying that. That's Darcy Tucker. That's a dude who's been there, who's been through the wars, who's won the wars, and still fell short of his goal. For nothing in your barn. I know. I think I'm genuinely helping the team here. If you are connected to any of the players, right? We talk about the pressure, right? Speaking of Darcy Tucker, Tucker said he never read the newspaper. And we asked Steve Simmons about that in 2013 when he was a guest on the Steve Dangle podcast. And he said Darcy Tucker knew where the commas were. It's a great line. If you're a friend of any of these guys, You have such a mission with clear instructions over the next 48 hours. And that is shut your friggin' mouth. Tuck your thumbs into your pockets. Do not send them tweets. Do not send them articles. Do not send them memes. Do not send them audio. Do not send them video. Don't send it to people around them either. Because whatever this is, the yips, whatever it is, they don't need any more of it. Well, could other players show up instead of the core guys? They can try. I've loved the effort of the fourth line. The third line, I'm done with Berube. Like, I love him as a coach. That third line can never take the ice again. Never, ever, 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 ever. They shouldn't have taken the ice in Game 5. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. I think Robertson should have played. That line should have never taken the ice. That was a huge mistake. And if he ices it again in Game 6, there's no justification for it. There was barely justification for Game 5. There's no justification for Game 6. You can still win this series and rewrite the book on yourselves. But if Game 7 comes back to Toronto, John Tavares has been unbelievable. Mitch Marner has been unbelievable. And they are both unrestricted free agents. Are you sure? You're one of the 31 other teams. Are you sure? You're positive. Who are you interested in? If the Leafs lose this series, let's be honest. Leafs blow a 3-0 series lead in the Battle of Ontario. Name who's on the list of Leafs you want back next year. Chris Tanev being the free space. What can we as fans do to help you? What do you need? You need to go out there and close the series you were up 3-0 in. That's it! I look forward to this video being a ridiculous overreaction. I really do. I really do. Austin Matthews was angry, so he broke his own stick on the bench tonight. And if I'm a Sens fan, I'm laughing my ass off because you broke Ridley Grigg's stick and you thought it was real funny. That's what our captain was doing. Brady, after winning Game 4 on home ice, told the fans in Ottawa, we'll be back here. And he scored the final empty netter in front of a crowd who's told him he sucked all week long. And now the Sens are doing exactly what Brady promised, dragging the Leafs back to Ottawa. Shanahan, Treliving, go to the Leafs staff page, go to the roster. There's not a name I want back if you don't pull this off. Hey, you pull it off, you might end up winning the cup, right? You might go on this long run and it'll be great. Maybe. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really like to. Tell all your friends. My voice has to somehow get through an episode of the Steve Dangle podcast. 2, actually, we're going to record tomorrow at the Sport Check at Maple Leaf Square. The scene of the crime.